I was bored, so I went to a Japanese restaurant for a solo date. One, to get a new experience, and two, to challenge myself, which I regretted as soon as I got there. Oh my god, I'm not really gonna be able to do this. This is too awkward. This is Haru Sushi restaurant located in the current suburbs of Nairobi. It felt like I had teleported into a touristic neighborhood in Tokyo because of how present the cherry blossoms were, even on the first page of the menu. I was quite skeptical about my choice at first because I don't eat raw seafood, but as I perused, I was happy about the many choices I had. From the menu, I went with volcanic chicken, and then with sushi, I went with the a la carte menu, and for the main meal, I went with the tonkotsu ramen. I tried to use chopsticks, but I cannot, so I just asked for a fork. I got a refreshing salad as soon as I sat down. Well, a few minutes after I sat down. But I actually did like the salad because the lettuce was very fresh, it was crunchy. They added a little bit of onions and carrots, but the dressing was actually the star of the show. Peanut dressing that is absolutely fantastic. It definitely worked up my appetite. I really like the ambience of this restaurant. It almost feels like I'm in Tokyo. You can look at the sakura just behind me. I think the most notable thing for me, I would say, is the artwork. I really like looking at the artwork. It's not just of the food, it's also of Japanese women. And I'm actually quite familiar with this type of artwork because I always go to Google Arts and Culture and I just look at different kinds of artwork from different parts of the world. And I like the way the Japanese approach their artwork. I don't know what this type of painting is called, but the simplicity of it, but also the vividness and how they're just able to capture a mood. It also features the elegance of Japanese women, of their cultural clothing. This is just what I like, and so just including this into the ambience of the restaurant is something that I actually do appreciate. Also, right at the back there is a series of paintings. I don't know whether they're paintings or pictures. Paintings. Well, they were paintings. All of them are art paintings of Mount Fuji, surrounded by the sakura trees. The volcano chicken is sweet and spicy. I expected it to be too spicy. They said it was going to be mild. Sometimes when they say mild is still too much, it was okay. I cannot handle spice at this time of my life. There was a point where I used to eat a lot of spice, but now I can't. It made my nose a little bit runny. It was still tasty. The sweetness, I would say, is the hero taste. It's the one that shows itself more properly than the spicy one. The chicken that you're getting is fried chicken balls, and you get quite a lot. I expected it to be like only 3 or 4 pieces, but they were about 8 or 9 pieces. That's like an entire meal. The sauce is quite thick, and I would say personally for my own palate, I would like a little bit of vinegar just to cut through the heaviness, but it's still great. It's something that I would order again. Sushi. Okay. Oh, that looks so nice. This is the unagi sushi. This is the tofu sushi. Tofu sushi. Okay. Thank you. Ooh, this looks so nice. With the sushi, I was actually quite shocked with the tofu because I thought that it was just going to be not as nice because a lot of restaurants really don't put in a lot of effort when it comes to vegetarian dishes. But this was actually quite phenomenal. It was really tasteful and I really liked it. The sushi itself was deep fried. Hi. How do you make the tofu itself? It's deep fried and then cooked with teriyaki sauce. Oh, it's teriyaki sauce that's on top. Oh, that was really nice. The tofu is deep fried, and then they add the rice on the inside, and then on the top of it, the sauce were actually quite nice. It was teriyaki sauce. That is actually quite shocking because I do have teriyaki sauce at home, and it doesn't taste like that. I guess the teriyaki sauce I have is not the real teriyaki sauce, but it really elevated the tofu sushi. I would say that is actually a highlight. Maybe I'm biased because I honestly do like tofu and I like vegetarian dishes. The other sushi is the unagi sushi. Unagi is eel, freshwater eel, and this was actually just quite nice. I would say I'm not a big fan of seafood, so it tasted fishy because of the seaweed, but the overall balance of the taste was was nice. And I actually picked this flavor because I've been watching this show called K Foodie Meets J Foodie, and they speak a lot about unagi. And when I saw that on the menu, I was like, oh, I'm gonna try this. I wasn't really able to get the intricate flavors of the sushi because my mouth was full of the spice and the sweetness from the sauce of the volcano chicken. But even so, with the tofu sushi, the flavor was able to come through. So that is the one that has really remained in my head. The tonkotsu ramen. I would say this is the one that tasted exactly how I thought it would because it's light. I expected it to be light, which is something that I like when it comes to things like soups, ramen. I like light flavors. The broth itself is a rich broth, but it's also light even in how it tastes. And of course, that could be a good or bad thing depending on what you like. You personally, I like the lightness of it. They also salted it in a way that is actually quite nice because it's not overpowering, it's not too salty. I was actually expecting it to be quite salty because again, while watching the show K Foodie meets J Foodie, they speak a lot about how the broths in Japanese cuisine can be quite salty and it's not meant even to be drunk, it's just meant to season like the ramen and the other condiments that are there. Bean sprouts were quite crunchy, I liked that. And it also came with pork belly slices and half of a boiled egg. Well, an egg tastes like an egg. With the pork slices, they were quite thin. The flavor is also very light and it reminded me of chicken. It feels like I'm eating chicken. I don't know whether that's how it's supposed to be, but it's also quite nice. They also added some sesame seeds and that adds a different dimension to the eating experience. There's a little bit of seaweed just at the top of this.
Let's play pretend, make me perfect, close the case.
Also quite like the wallpaper that they've used. It mimics bricks. This is quite nice. I guess this is also one of the things that I like about just going out to different places, whether it's restaurants and hotels, because it can give you a lot of ideas about how to do your own interior decor in your own home and create an experience for yourself. Because if it was just a plain wall, it wouldn't really add to the magic of the ambience. And actually it's quite dark in here. I'm using the low light feature on the DJI Osmo Pocket 4 because if I were just filming it without the low light, it would be, well, it's not really dark in here, but it's not as bright as I would expect. It's not like that bright light that comes straight from outside, but also today is a very cloudy day, so maybe there's that. Some of the windows have blinds that look like they were made of bamboo. That is also adding to the Japanese experience because bamboo in Japan, I mean, they have an entire bamboo forest, I think in Arashiyama or something. Being here in this moment, I feel like it's a full circle moment because I've been pushed to have a little bit of interest into this Japanese culture because of their shows. If I'd not watched their shows, well, I wouldn't listen to their music and I wouldn't find myself in a Japanese restaurant. I think this also just goes to show you about the importance of cultural exports. You know, when it comes to a lot of African countries and our African leaders, they need to understand more. They need to know about soft power because it works. It works when you are investing money, things like music, to things like dramas. It's not in vain because it does influence people to have an interest in you. And we all know when it comes to Japan in particular, they've been able to overhaul the entire image that the world has about them, such that they're bringing in lots of tourism to a point that no one even remembers that Japan actually has colonial history where it was the colonizer, where it was the one that was actually pillaging other people's countries. I didn't know this until I started watching K-dramas, and they've made quite a number of K-dramas highlighting this tense history. But you see, because Japan knew very well that it needed a good image that is going to bring in tourists into their country, they have worked well on just rebranding themselves. Now they receive millions of tourists until to a point where they're actually complaining about over tourism. So they're about done themselves. From what I've eaten, I feel like this is an authentic Japanese experience that I've gotten because the flavors have been different from what I'm used to. I would say that I've also struggled to even describe some of these flavors because they're quite new, and that's a great thing because as someone who is a great fan of food flavors, there's a great fan of food, it means that I'm learning something new. Now I'm going to even get more curious about Japanese cuisine and about their flavors and try to recreate some of this. What kind of rating would I give to this restaurant? Well, I'm not going to do it like other people do, because at the end of the day, when it comes to business, the real rating, the most important one is someone going to come back to give you their money? And I would say absolutely. I would definitely come back here, and I wouldn't even just come back alone. I would come back with other people, especially someone who likes seafood. I think this is a place that they would like. Everything is fresh. Until now, I haven't gotten a stomach ache, and I have a very sensitive stomach. So if any of these things were not good, I would have already reacted. I definitely want to come back and have a taste of matcha. This is authentic Japanese cuisine, and if I want to have a taste of matcha, I should do it in an authentic Japanese restaurant. I also want to eat the unagi with pot of rice, and I've also seen they have something called like vegetarian teppanyaki, something like that. I would definitely want to try that because it has different kinds of assortments, and that is akin to bento boxes that I always see on YouTube, on vlogs, and that's also something that I want to try in the future, trying to make a Japanese bento box, because it feels quite fun. I must say that I myself am very surprised by the fact that I'm sitting here alone and filming myself and speaking in public. If you told me that this would be possible last year at this time, I would be like, absolutely not. But I'm doing this. Did feel awkward at the start. Well, it's not as awkward now, is it? The only thing that I'm taking from this experience that is my fault, definitely, is learning how to use chopsticks. I got the hang of it for a little bit, but it's quite hard to just keep on going. I also have very sweaty hands. That's something that I need to work on because it does help with just immersing yourself in the authentic experience fully. Je suis finalement de retour chez moi. Total bill for the meal is 3,850 Kenya shillings, which is quite fair. I thought it would be much higher, like 5,000 Kenya shillings. But of course, because I didn't eat the sushi, the prices are quite lower. Something to note is that they actually recommend that you reserve a seat at their table. I did that. I asked them on Instagram whether I could vlog, because unfortunately a lot of establishments in Kenya do not allow vlogging. So they told me I could vlog, and I did the reservation. I arrived and I ate and I had a good time. I would definitely recommend this for someone that wants to just have a different culinary experience. And even if you're a vegetarian, my goodness, I still keep finding myself thinking of the inari sushi, the tofu sushi. My goodness, it was just so fantastic. And you know, when you find a restaurant that does vegetarian food or vegan food very well, you know they are really great, because a lot of the times a lot of people like really just depending on meat, because meat already has a lot of flavor, but when it comes to vegetables, legumes, you need to work harder. And so for me, the mark of a great restaurant, I would say, is always its vegetarian food. And even with a bowl of ramen, for me, what really stood out there was the bean sprouts. Was it because I just like vegetables? The bean sprouts were really flavorful and they were crunchy. The broth was also really deep in flavor, but also light at the same time. This is clearly the things that are stuck in my head, and I'm just going to find a way of recreating these flavors in my own life. You say slow down.